In the spirit of respect, reciprocity, and truth, we at Calgary Pride wish to honor and acknowledge Mohkinstsis and the traditional Treaty 7 territory and oral practices of the Blackfoot Confederacy, Siksika, Kainai, Piikani, and Yarhe Nakota and Tsuut'ina First Nations. We acknowledge that the territory we inhabit is home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3, within the historical Northwest Métis homeland.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, Calgary. I'm James Dean, and I will be your host of the Pridecast this week, where we will be recapping the week's hottest community events, news, and Pride FAQs. As part of this series, in partnership with the Calgary Queer Arts Society, we will be putting on an LGBTQ 101 workshop. This workshop endeavors to create bridges of understanding about the LGBT community, includes a deep dive into the context and language used by the community for identity and self-expression, expands the historical context of the LGBT rights movement, and creates tools for allyship for all of us. This workshop series is available to businesses who are participating in the Our Pride initiative and available to members of the general public for $10. In order to get information about where to connect with them, check them out on Facebook. The first one will be taking place at 6 p.m. on the 23rd of June, and the second one will be happening at 1 p.m. on the 28th of June. Welcome to our history segment. This week, we're going to look at the first Pride demonstration that happened in 1990 in Calgary on Monday, June 18th, which was the day after Father's Day. About 150 people and a choir at the time that existed in town called the Rocky Mountain Singers collected at Central Memorial Park, 2/3 of them wearing masks because it was still legal to be fired or have your children taken away from you for being gay, and celebrated for the first time together in that way. This would eventually lead to the Pride movement that we know now as we celebrate our 30th anniversary this year. Now, since the first Pride rally took place right after Father's Day, we want to remind you to wear plaid for Dad. Another important part of our LGBT history in Calgary is Club Carousel, the city's first gay-owned private membership club. Now, Club Carousel, before it was named that, was called the 1207 and was actually owned by straight owners who used to charge heterosexual people to come in and watch LGBT people drink. Obviously, this made the community fairly upset, and so they actively boycotted the bar for 4 weeks and then took it over. And while cleaning out the very low-ceilinged, very dark space, they found a can of Carousel brand paint and turned the club into what would become Club Carousel, which was famous for a collection of things on the walls like tinfoil and giant red and yellow stripes and large carousel horses, some of which still exist today. Club Carousel is significant because it is the first part of the LGBT community's standing where we owned our own space, and it still survives as an important piece of the landmarks here. So for those of you who haven't had the opportunity to attend grad this year because of the state of the world, we are happy to be partnering on Alberta Pride Prom, which is happening June 26th at 7 p.m. Alberta Pride Prom is an end-of-the-year celebration for 9 to 12 students who are LGBTQ2S+ or allies. Join for dancing, games, and more. Go ahead and register at their website at albertaprideprom.ca. And if you're looking for something to do the next day, on June 27th, Prides from across the world have connected to bring you Global Pride 2020. There will be speeches and performances, film and content from other Prides across Africa, Europe, Oceania, and America. A wonderful team of more than 100 volunteers are reaching out to Prides around the world and promising an amazing lineup of performers exactly like you would expect from any major Pride event. We've got royalty prime ministers, amazing inspirational speakers, and incredible international acts such as Courtney Act, Olivia Newton-John, that I'm excited about, Ava Marx, Pablo Vitter, and so many more huge names to be announced. If you're looking for some content to keep you busy during this pandemic, we would recommend the Native Calgarian podcast. Michelle Robinson is a politically active Indigenous woman that volunteers and works to reduce inequities in the community. Her podcast brings new perspectives to issues and much, much more. You can become a supporter on Patreon, check her out on Podbean, or get involved on Facebook. You can also email your own submissions for topics to nativeyyc@gmail.com. And don't forget, small dollar donations make Pride happen. So if you have the opportunity to send us a couple of dollars, every little bit helps. Check out our website at calgarypride.ca to make a donation today. Thank you for joining us on the Pridecast. Remember to tune in every Friday at 4 p.m. MDT, and make sure to join us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. Have a great rest of your week, and we will see you soon. If you're curious about the queer history of the city of Calgary, there's some really important moments in our history that have happened here because of the work of amazing Albertans. Everett Clippert, who was a Calgary City bus driver, was the last person to be charged under the criminal code with homosexuality in 1969. His case would result in the partial decriminalization of homosexuality brought in by the Trudeau government of that year. And in 1992, moving into a court case that would pit the Alberta government against the Supreme Court of Canada, Edmonton teacher Delwyn Vriend brought in the first charter defense for employment and housing protection rights for LGBT people in Canada. And both of those folks grew up here in Calgary. If you're curious about where more of those stories would come from, this is a great resource for you. Kevin Allen's book, Our Stories Matter, is a phenomenal resource for this city, and we would highly recommend taking a look at it if you're curious.